Are you tired of lying awake at night feeling stressed and anxious? Do you struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep due to those racing thoughts and worries? On today's episode, we're going to address some ways to alleviate those restless nights and say hello to some restful sleep. I'm Jay, and this is Somnilopod. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It has been a minute. I am glad that you are here to join me. I want to talk a little bit about some of the issues that a lot of us are going through right now. The world is a stressful place, and we are living in stressful times. And a lot of times, at least personally, I find myself lying awake at night just not able to get my brain to shut off. So we're going to be looking at that today. And getting a good night's sleep is essential for our mental health and well-being. It's the time when our bodies and minds can relax and recharge and prepare for another busy day. But what happens when the stress and anxiety get in the way of the restful night's sleep? That's exactly what we're going to be looking at today. I'll share some practical tips that you can implement for long-term improvement of your sleep, as well as solutions you can use tonight to sleep better, even when your mind is racing with worries and concerns. Stress and anxiety can be overwhelming, and it's no surprise that they can affect the quality of your sleep. And believe me, you are not alone. According to studies, millions of people around the world struggle to fall asleep and stay asleep due to stress and anxiety. And sometimes it's like your brain is wired to keep you awake, making it impossible to relax and unwind. But what's even more frustrating is that the lack of sleep can make our anxiety and stress levels even worse. It's a vicious cycle that can be hard to break. And it's not just stress and anxiety themselves that are the problem, but it's also the habits and behaviors that come with them. For example, when we're feeling stressed and anxious, we might reach for our phones or laptops or turn the TV on and just start scrolling through, looking at shows, looking at social media, watching videos to try to distract ourselves. Actually, that's not a good thing. Because what happens is that, and even if we don't realize it, the light from those devices and from those screens is actually making it harder for us to fall asleep. And when we're under stress or anxiety, our bodies are actually responding by releasing certain chemicals that make us feel alert and awake. It's our body saying, hey, I'm stressed. There is some sort of threat. And there's a threat out there and I need to stay awake and I need to be ready to respond. But what we need to do is to actually signal to our bodies that it's okay to relax, that there is no threat and that we can let our guard down. And I know it's easier said than done, but with the right strategies and techniques, we can actually train our brains and our bodies to sleep better, even when we're under stress and anxiety. So a lot of the long-term habits and behaviors that can affect your ability to get a good night's sleep we have talked about before. It's a process called sleep hygiene, and it can include a lot of different things, from your sleep environment, just to make it nice and comfortable and cool and dark and quiet, or if you need to have some sort of white noise to drown out external noises, things like dogs barking, cars moving around on the street, and police sirens, and whatever else you've got going on in your neighborhood. From those to even our bedtime routine, just having a simple, relaxing routine that we follow every night that prepares our body and gets our brains in the mood to be able to say, okay, we are going to be going to sleep soon. So all of these other things, we can put these aside and we can start to focus on the fact that it's bedtime and that everything else is going to have to go out the window because we're going to need to get some sleep. And over time, these techniques can actually become ingrained as habits, and your body will simply start to respond to them. Another key strategy to this, even if you've built up those habits over time and you're still having difficulty, is to address the underlying stress and anxiety, because sometimes it is simply practical to get some professional help for that. You may need a little something to help just sort of take the edge off of the emotion that you're feeling. Sometimes therapy can help. There are a lot of online therapies that you can look at that make it easier and more accessible for you to be able to do in the privacy of your own home. You can even do it in your car if you're sitting at work ready to have lunch or something. If you want to have a session with your therapist, you can do things like that as well. It's very accessible to get help for addressing these types of issues. And once you've addressed those issues, if you're still having some trouble, then talk to a professional, talk to your doctor. Your doctor may prescribe a medication that can actually help. All of that notwithstanding, those are long-term things that you can do. None of that stuff is going to help you right now, but I have some things that will. And these are things that we've probably discussed before, but it's always a good reminder that there are things that you can do right now, tonight, to help yourself sleep. And one of those things is a simple, deep breathing exercise. Just engaging in controlled breathing can actually activate your parasympathetic nervous system and promote relaxation. One of the methods that we've talked about before is the 4-7-8 method. You inhale quietly through your nose for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 7, and then exhale through your mouth for a count of 8. Do that continuously. Repeat the cycle until your body is ready to fall asleep. Another exercise that you can do, I actually did an episode on this early on. It's called progressive muscle relaxation, and you can look back through the archives and find an episode that I actually talk you through that. But it's a technique where you focus on the different muscle groups in your body to help release some of the physical tension. Because a lot of times, and I know this from personal experience, I'll find myself laying in bed and then I'll think, oh, my neck hurts. And I'm actually tensing my neck while I'm laying in bed. So I have to focus on that muscle group, consciously make it relax. And that's part of what progressive relaxation does. You start either at the bottom or the top of your body. I usually like to start with my toes. And you tense those muscles for about 10 seconds and then release them. And then you do it again and release it. And what it's doing, it's teaching the muscles to actually let go of that tension. And you just slowly and progressively move your way through your body. Come up to your calves, come up to your thighs, your hips, your stomach, your back, etc. And what that does, as I mentioned, it helps you realize and recognize the stress that you're holding on to and to be able to let go of that. Now, one of the things that a lot of people find very difficult is the fact that your brain, you just simply cannot shut your brain off. It just keeps going on and on and on and on. And if you have ever tried to learn how to meditate, this is something you probably recognize when you first start to do that, is that, they recommend that you sit quietly and you just let thoughts go. And I know for myself, those thoughts don't want to go anywhere. They want to stay and they want to ricochet around my big old head. So one of the things that you can do is to try to use a process called serial diversive imagining. And basically what it does, it gives your brain something to ruminate on as opposed to those other intrusive thoughts. So for example, choose just a regular neutral word like bedtime. And for each letter in the word, think of other words that start with that letter. For example, for B, you can think of banana, boat, butterfly, and you just keep doing that. And then you move to the next letter in the process. And what that does is it helps remove and refocus those intrusive thoughts to sort of sever that chain, to get them out of the way so that you can actually fall asleep and it lets your mind wander a little bit in a more productive way. I hope this has been helpful for you. I do want to point out that some things have changed on the website. I've actually started curating some things to help you sleep. So if you will check out somnilopod.com, look at the sleep market. There are some things that you can purchase. I get a little bit of a commission when people purchase through the website, so that helps me keep the website going and the podcast going, and it helps greatly. So until then, if you have any topics that you want me to cover, feel free to touch base with me. You can talk to me at j@somnilopod.com. You can also touch base with me through any of the socials. So until we meet again, I hope everything goes well for you, and do your very best to try to get some sleep. Thanks so much.